So let's start with the next question from WCF questions and answers video series. What exactly is one-way and two-way contract in WCF services? Now the two-way contract is also called as duplex contracts. So what exactly are these two terms in WCF services? So let's first start with one-way contract. Putting in simple words, WCF one-way means fire and forget. So what exactly does this thing means fire and forget? So let's try to see a simple example over here. So let's consider a simple example over here. Let's say that we have a very simple WCF service. So here's a very simple WCF service. Now this WCF service exposes a very simple method called as M1. So there is a simple method here which returns void, and this method M1 actually lies in this WCF service. And in this method M1, there is a simple code here, thread.sleep. So basically, if anybody calls this method M1, this code will wait for 5 seconds, right? And this WCF service is consumed by a simple WCF client. So basically, we have a simple WCF client here, which is a command application you can think about, who consumes this WCF service. In other words, he actually makes a call to this method M1. Now the way this whole thing will work is as follows. The WCF client will make a call to method M1. The method M1 will execute, and he will actually wait for 5 seconds, and then he will come back. Now while the method M1 executes and he's waiting for 5 seconds, even the client is also in a blocking mode. So client actually waits for this method M1 to finish. Now that is a bit of a problem, because the method M1 currently is returning nothing. So there is no point of client waiting for this M1 to finish and waiting for 5 seconds. And that's where exactly we have the one-way attribute or the one-way contract. In one-way contract, what happens is the WCF client makes a call to the method M1, and basically he starts then executing ahead his code, and he doesn't wait for the method M1 to come back because there is nothing expected from method M1. But in many scenarios, probably this fire and forget or the one-way contract will not suit. In other words, you would like to call the method M1, okay? You would then like to go ahead and execute your client code and not wait for the method M1 to finish. But later when the method M1 finishes, you would expect some kind of a callback from the method M1 to your client. You know, some kind of event, you can say some kind of a callback, some kind of an alert, or some kind of alarm saying that, he is finished. And that's where exactly we have the two-way contract or the duplex contract. So let's summarize the theory what we have discussed, and then we'll do a practical for both one-way as well as a duplex contract. So one-way means basically you call the method and you don't expect any kind of return from the method, and you just move ahead with your client code. While in two-way or duplex contract, you call the method of the WCF service, you definitely move ahead with your client code, but then you expect a callback from the WCF service saying that he has completed the method or he has finished the method execution or whatever it is. Now let's do a small sample of both of these things, that is WCF one way as well as duplex contract, to understand this fundamentally in a better manner. So let's go ahead and create a simple WCF service application here, and let's name this WCF service as WCF service one way and two way, so that we can demonstrate both the sample code. And let's press OK. By default, the WCF template actually throws some default code here. You can see the get data and the get data using contract. So let me go and just delete all of this code here, so that we can create a very simple sample code to demonstrate one way and two way. So let me just go and delete from the service contract as well, and let me delete this data contract. We don't need them for now. All right. And let's go ahead and define a simple operation contract here. Void wait for some time, and this will actually accept milliseconds, right? And this method or this function will expose as a operation contract. So operation contract. Now we also need to put implementation for the operation contract. So let's go to the svc.cs file and let's say implement interface. Now what we'll do here is, basically, as the method name says that wait for some time, we'll actually pause here for some time. So for that, we'll just use the thread.sleep command. In order to use the thread.sleep command, we have to import system.threading, and we'll then say thread.sleep, whatever is the integer value here, so int milliseconds, right? So let's go ahead and consume this WCF service which we have created. So let's go to the Solution Explorer and let's add a simple console application, and in that console application we will consume this WCF service which we have just created. So let me go to Visual C# console application. I'll give a nice name to this, console WCF client. Okay, and let's press OK. So there's our console application which is created. Now the next step is we have to consume this WCF service in this console application by using the add service reference. The first thing is we have to get the URL where this WCF service one-way and two-way is hosted. So let me do a Control F5 here and let me get the WSDL link of the WCF service. So that's where my WCF service is running on the 2879 port. So let me quickly go and get the SVC URL here, and let me go back to my client and do a add service reference, Control V, and let me generate the proxy here. So I'm keeping the same namespace what is defined here, and let me press OK. So that's where the proxy object is generated, service reference 1. Now let's go ahead and invoke this proxy object and let's call the WCF service here. So let's go ahead and start creating the object. So service reference 1 dot service client O is equal to new service reference 1 dot client, and we'll invoke the wait for some time. Okay, and we'll say okay, wait for 10 seconds. Okay, right, and I'll just do a console dot write line here saying that the client has executed, right? And I'll just do a read line here so that we wait and we can see the outputs. So read line, right? Nice. So let me just go and build this application here, and everything looks fine here. Now let me go to the Solution Explorer and make the console WCF client as a startup project because we want this console WCF client to run. And let's do a Control F5. Now you can see that basically the client is has just gone on a waiting mode or in a blocking mode. So until the 10 seconds finish, from the server where we have written the thread.sleep, we will not see any display. Now you can see the display here. So in other words, without the one-way thing, the WCF client is interacting with the WCF service in a blocking mode. Okay. Now let's go and implement the one-way contract. Now implementing the one-way contract is just a simple attribute here. So go to the interface, your service contract interface, and on the operation contract, there is an attribute called as is one way. So you can see that this is the attribute is one way, this one. So when you mark the is one way equal to true, right? So if I say is one way equal to true here, this function wait for some time will now be invoked in a asynchronous mode or in a is one way mode. Okay, so let me just go and save this and let me build this whole solution. And because I've changed something over here, I also need to go and update my service client. So let's click on View Solution Explorer. Let's right click on your service reference which is consumed by the WCF client, and let's say update service reference. Whenever we make changes, such kind of configuration changes onto the WCF service, we have to ensure that we go and do update service reference. So all is set, everything is fine here, and let me do a build. Now what should happen is, now if I run my application, the WCF client will not go in a blocking mode. In other words, it will just call this wait for some time, and he will not wait for the thread.sleep to complete, and he will just go ahead and execute and show us the console.write line that his client has executed. So let me do a Control F5 here and let's see. So you can see that the client has just executed while the 10 seconds has not finished. So this is called as the is one way contract in WCF services. So whenever you have functions or methods, which can likely put your client in a blocking mode and it just returns void, it would be a good practice to mark those kind of methods with is one way equal to true. So that was a simple implementation of WCF one way, that is fire and forget kind of model. The second kind of a model, which we would like to discuss now, is the duplex contract or the WCF two-way contract, where we just don't want to do a fire and forget, but we want to fire and track. We would like to get an intimation from the WCF server saying that he has completed his work or he has done his process, etc. So what we'll do is, now this video has again become pretty large here. It's approximately 10 minutes now. So we'll split this video into a second part, and in the second part we will look into what exactly is WCF two-way or duplex contract, and we'll also see a simple example of the same. So I hope that you have enjoyed this video on WCF one way, and see you in the next video where we will see what exactly is duplex contracts. Thank you very much.